Silence is not the absence of action. Silence is the highest form of control. The world teaches people to talk more, explain more, announce more. But history rewards those who mastered themselves before trying to master the world. The strongest individuals were never the loudest in the room. They were the calmest. They observed while others reacted. They prepared while others complained. They waited while others rushed. Silence is where power begins. A noisy mind is a weak mind. A distracted mind leaks energy in every direction. But a silent mind gathers strength the way a river gathers force before cutting through stone. When you stop explaining yourself, you start building yourself. When you stop seeking validation, you start creating value. Nature never shouts. The sun rises without noise. Seeds grow underground in darkness. The strongest forces in existence move quietly, and they are unstoppable. Impatience is the enemy of greatness. People rush because they fear being left behind, but those who rush often arrive unprepared. Those who stay silent allow time to shape them, sharpen them, harden them. Time does not punish the patient, it rewards them. Silence trains discipline. Discipline builds confidence. Confidence attracts opportunity. You do not need to announce your goals. You do not need to explain your process. You do not need approval to proceed. Work in silence. Let the results interrupt the noise. When you remove unnecessary words, unnecessary thoughts disappear. When unnecessary thoughts disappear, clarity arrives, and clarity is dangerous because it leads to decisive action. Focus is not loud. Focus is ruthless. Every wasted word drains mental strength. Every argument steals momentum. Every reaction hands control to someone else. Silence takes that control back. The mind that learns to remain calm under pressure becomes unshakable. The person who resists the urge to react becomes untouchable. The one who waits, watches, and prepares eventually moves with precision, and precision never fails. Everything you want already exists in potential form, but potential only reveals itself to those who are ready. Readiness is built in silence. When the mind is still, intuition speaks. When intuition speaks, decisions become effortless. When decisions are effortless, progress becomes natural. This is how everything comes, naturally, not through force, not through noise, not through desperation, but through discipline, through patience, through silent, focused persistence. Stay silent, stay sharp, stay disciplined, and when the time is right, you will not need to speak at all, because your presence, your results, and your impact will say everything. Silence is power, not weakness. It is the discipline of those who understand that strength does not announce itself. Weak minds seek noise because noise hides insecurity. Strong minds choose silence because silence sharpens control. When you stop reacting, you start commanding. When you stop explaining, you start building. The world confuses loudness with confidence, but true confidence has no need to speak. It stands firm, unmoved, unprovoked, unshaken. Silence is where self-mastery begins. Every word you do not waste becomes energy saved. Every reaction you suppress becomes discipline gained. Most people talk themselves out of greatness by leaking their focus into opinions, arguments, and distractions. They mistake motion for progress and noise for momentum. But real power is quiet. It observes patterns, it studies timing, it waits until action becomes inevitable. Nature itself follows this law. Nothing powerful grows in chaos. The seed develops underground, unseen, untouched by applause. The strongest trees endure storms because their roots were built in silence. The river does not shout as it carves mountains. It moves steadily, patiently, without asking permission. Those who learn from nature understand that forcing. Results leads to collapse, while alignment leads to inevitability. Silence trains patience, and patience multiplies strength. The impatient mind rushes and breaks under pressure. The disciplined mind waits and strikes with precision. Those who rush want recognition before readiness. Those who stay silent understand that preparation is invisible but decisive. Time works for the focused and against the desperate. When you stop chasing outcomes and start mastering process, results begin to follow without resistance. Silence also protects vision. When you speak too early, you expose fragile ideas to weak minds. When you announce plans before execution, you invite doubt, distraction, and external influence. Powerful individuals move quietly because they understand that vision needs protection before it needs promotion. Not everyone deserves access to your intentions. Not every voice deserves influence over your direction. A silent mind sees clearly. Distractions lose power when attention is disciplined. Clarity emerges when unnecessary input is removed. Most people are overwhelmed not because life is difficult, but because they consume too much noise. Opinions, comparisons, and constant stimulation weaken focus. Silence clears the path. It allows the mind to lock onto one direction and eliminate everything else. Control your tongue, and you control your future. Words shape habits, habits shape character, character shapes destiny. Those who complain train themselves to see obstacles. Those who argue train themselves to react. Those who speak endlessly train themselves to leak authority. Silence reverses this pattern. It turns attention inward where real power is formed. Silence does not mean inactivity. It means intentional action without unnecessary exposure. It means working when others are talking, building when others are debating, improving when others are seeking validation. Quiet effort compounds. Loud effort seeks approval. One creates mastery, the other creates exhaustion. When pressure rises, silence becomes armor. Emotional reactions give opponents control. Calmness takes it back. The person who cannot be provoked cannot be defeated. In silence, you choose responses instead of reacting automatically. This is mental toughness. This is inner authority. This is the foundation of leadership. The silent individual does not chase opportunities. Opportunity recognizes readiness. When the mind is calm and focused, decisions become sharp. When decisions are sharp, action becomes effective. When action is effective, progress accelerates without strain. Everything begins to align, not because of luck, but because discipline attracts order. People underestimate the power of stillness. They fear being unseen. They fear being overlooked. But invisibility is an advantage when used correctly. While others perform, the silent builder prepares. While others seek attention, the focused individual acquires skill. While others explain why they failed, the disciplined one adjusts quietly and moves forward. Silence strengthens intuition. When external noise fades, internal guidance becomes clear. You start sensing timing instead of forcing outcomes. You move when conditions are right, not when emotions demand action. This is how effort becomes efficient. This is how resistance disappears. There is no need to rush destiny. Everything arrives when readiness meets opportunity. Readiness is built through discipline, repetition, and self-control. Silence supports all three. It removes distraction, it deepens focus, it strengthens resolve. Those who understand this stop seeking shortcuts and start trusting process. Stay silent long enough, and people will feel your presence before you speak. Stay disciplined long enough, and results will introduce you. Stay focused long enough, and what once felt distant begins to move toward you, slowly at first, then all at once, as momentum builds, as preparation meets timing, as the mind remains stead. Why, as action flows without force, as effort aligns with purpose, as everything that once required struggle begins to unfold naturally. Energy grows where attention is controlled. Whatever you focus on expands, whatever you neglect weakens, and whatever you allow to distract you drains your power without permission. Most people are exhausted not because they work too hard, but because their attention is scattered. Their energy is divided across worries, opinions, comparisons, and noise. They live mentally everywhere except where they need to be. Power begins the moment attention is brought under discipline. Attention is the gatekeeper of energy. Where the mind goes, strength follows. When attention is loose, energy leaks. When attention is sharp, energy compounds. This is why unfocused effort feels heavy and focused effort feels unstoppable. Two people can work the same number of hours, but the one who controls attention advances further because every action is concentrated, deliberate, and aligned. The world is designed to steal attention. Endless stimulation, constant information, and emotional triggers pull the mind in every direction. Most people surrender without resistance. They react instead of choosing. They respond instead of deciding. Over time, this trains weakness. A mind that cannot hold attention cannot hold power. A life without focus becomes reactive, not intentional. Control your attention, and you control your energy. Control your energy, and you control your direction. This is not theory. This is the law behind achievement. Every disciplined individual understands that attention is a limited resource. It must be protected, trained, and deployed with precision. You cannot afford to give it to things that do not build you. Attention creates momentum. When focus remains on one objective long enough, resistance fades. Confusion disappears. Decisions become clear. The mind stops arguing and starts executing. Progress accelerates not because the task becomes easier, but because energy stops being wasted. Concentrated effort breaks barriers that scattered effort never touches. Most people underestimate the cost of distraction. Every unnecessary thought consumes energy. Every emotional reaction steals clarity. Every comparison weakens confidence. Over time, these small losses compound into exhaustion and self-doubt. The disciplined individual cuts these losses early. They simplify their mental environment. They choose what deserves attention and reject everything else without guilt. Attention is a muscle. If you do not train it, it weakens. If you train it daily, it becomes unbreakable. Training attention means learning to stay with discomfort without escaping. It means focusing when the mind wants to wander. It means continuing when boredom appears. This is why mastery belongs to those who endure mental resistance longer than others. When attention is controlled, emotions stabilize. When emotions stabilize, actions improve. When actions improve, results follow naturally. Chaos begins in the mind before it appears in life. Order also begins in the mind before it appears in outcomes. The external world mirrors internal discipline. Energy responds to intention. When you commit your attention fully to a purpose, effort becomes efficient. You stop forcing progress and start allowing momentum to build. Focus creates alignment between thought and action. Alignment removes friction. What once required struggle begins to move smoothly. The strongest individuals are not those with the most talent, but those with the deepest focus. Talent without attention is wasted potential. Discipline without focus becomes burnout. But attention, when controlled, turns ordinary ability into extraordinary performance. This is why quiet, focused individuals often surpass louder, more gifted ones. Control of attention also protects mental strength. Arguments, negativity, and emotional drama consume energy without producing value. The disciplined mind refuses to engage, not because it is weak, but because it is selective. Energy is too valuable to spend on things that do not serve growth. Silence, distance, and focus become strategic tools. Attention determines identity. What you think about repeatedly becomes who you are. If your attention lives on problems, you become reactive. If it lives on improvement, you become powerful. If it lives on fear, you become hesitant. If it lives on discipline, you become unstoppable. Identity is shaped daily through attention choices. When focus deepens, time changes. Hours feel shorter. Effort feels lighter. The mind enters a state where action flows without resistance. This is where progress accelerates. This is where work becomes meaningful. This is where energy renews itself instead of draining. Controlled attention eliminates noise. Noise clouds judgment. Noise weakens resolve. Noise creates urgency where patience is required. The focused individual moves calmly because their attention is not being pulled in multiple directions. Calmness is not a personality trait. It is the result of disciplined attention. Every breakthrough begins with sustained focus. No vision becomes real without attention held long enough to give it form. Ideas remain fantasies when attention jumps away too soon. Consistency is not about doing more, it is about paying attention longer. Energy does not disappear randomly. It goes where attention sends it. If your attention is fragmented, your energy will be fragmented. If your attention is disciplined, your energy will become concentrated force. This force reshapes habits, strengthens confidence, and creates momentum that feels almost effortless. Control attention long enough, and distractions lose their grip. Control attention long enough, and priorities become obvious. Control attention long enough, and progress becomes inevitable. The mind stops chasing stimulation and starts building substance. Focus turns effort into power, discipline into momentum, and intention into results that arrive without strain. Nature rewards patience, not panic. Everything that lasts moves according to timing, not urgency. Panic is the language of fear, and fear always rushes. Patience is the language of strength, and strength understands rhythm. Nothing meaningful grows on command. It develops when conditions are right. Those who try to force outcomes break what they are trying to build. Those who learn to wait allow power to mature. Look at how nature operates. Seasons do not skip. Roots grow before branches. Storms pass without explanation. There is no anxiety in the process, no desperation to arrive early. Growth happens quietly, steadily, and without negotiation. This law applies to everything that seeks permanence. The individual who understands this stops rushing life and starts aligning with it. Panic clouds judgment. It shortens vision. It demands immediate relief instead of lasting progress. Under panic, people choose speed over accuracy and motion over direction. They act not because the moment is right, but because discomfort feels unbearable. This is how mistakes are made, momentum is lost, and strength is compromised. Patience sharpens awareness. When you wait without fear, you observe details others miss. You sense timing instead of guessing. You move when the path is clear, not when emotions demand action. Patience does not mean inactivity, it means restraint paired with readiness. It means preparing quietly while others exhaust themselves chasing instant results. The world pressures people to hurry. Comparison creates urgency. Noise creates anxiety. Everyone appears to be ahead, and panic whispers that you are falling behind. But growth is not a race, it is a process. Those who rush often arrive empty. Those who wait arrive prepared. Nature never responds to desperation. It responds to consistency. Seeds watered in panic do not grow faster. They rot. Roots need time to strengthen before weight can be carried. When results come too early, they collapse under pressure. When results arrive on time, they endure. Patience builds inner strength. It teaches emotional control. It conditions the mind to tolerate uncertainty without losing discipline. Most people fail not because they lack ability, but because they cannot sit with discomfort long enough for growth to complete. They interrupt their own progress by panicking too soon. There is power in waiting calmly. Calm waiting keeps energy intact. Panic drains it. When you panic, you scatter attention, waste effort, and weaken resolve. When you remain patient, energy accumulates. It gathers quietly until action becomes decisive and effective. Patience creates confidence. Not the loud kind, but the unshakable kind. The confidence that comes from knowing preparation is happening even when nothing is visible. The confidence that does not need reassurance. This is why patient individuals move with calm authority. They trust the process because they have invested in it daily. Every meaningful achievement passes through a period of invisibility. Nothing announces its arrival early. Those who panic during this phase quit, change direction, or compromise standards. Those who endure it emerge stronger, clearer, and ready to carry the weight of success. Panic reacts to symptoms. Patience addresses causes. Panic looks for shortcuts. Patience builds foundations. Panic wants relief. Patience wants results. The difference determines whether progress is temporary or permanent. Nature also teaches that resistance is part of preparation. Pressure strengthens what is ready and exposes what is weak. Patience allows strength to develop fully before pressure arrives. Panic exposes weakness prematurely. Those who rush into challenges before readiness often retreat broken. Those who wait meet challenges with composure. Time is not an enemy, it is a filter. It removes the uncommitted and refines the disciplined. Those who respect time learn its rhythm. They stop forcing growth and start cooperating with it. Cooperation with time produces momentum that feels effortless. Stillness is not stagnation, it is accumulation. While nothing seems to be happening externally, internal systems are aligning. Skills are sharpening. Understanding deepens. Capacity expands. Panic interrupts this alignment. Patience completes it. When you stop rushing outcomes, clarity returns. Decisions improve. Effort becomes precise. You no longer chase everything. You wait for what aligns. This is how wasted energy disappears and effectiveness increases. Patience also protects vision. When the mind is calm, vision remains intact. Panic distorts perception and invites doubt. Doubt leads to inconsistency. Inconsistency weakens results. Patience stabilizes belief and keeps direction steady. Nature never rewards panic because panic is distrust. It signals lack of faith in process and timing. Patience signals alignment. Alignment invites progress. Those who learn to remain steady while waiting become powerful because they are never controlled by urgency. Stay patient long enough and panic loses its voice. Stay disciplined long enough and timing reveals itself. Stay consistent long enough and results arrive with strength, stability, and permanence, not as accidents, not as luck, but as natural outcomes of trust, restraint, and unwavering commitment to process. Results speak louder than explanations. Words are cheap when effort is weak, and excuses multiply when discipline is missing. Those who spend their time explaining are often trying to justify inaction, delay, or failure. Real progress does not need defense. It stands on its own. When results appear, arguments disappear. When outcomes are visible, explanations become unnecessary. The need to explain is often a sign of insecurity. People talk to be believed. They explain to be understood. They justify to be accepted. But strength does not beg for validation. Strength delivers proof. The individual who produces results lets evidence do the talking. Silence combined with achievement creates authority that no explanation can match. Explanations drain energy that should be invested in execution. Every moment spent defending intentions is a moment stolen from building outcomes. Focused individuals understand this. They conserve words and invest effort. They do not waste time convincing others of what they will do. They let time reveal what they have done. The world respects performance, not promises. Plans sound impressive until tested. Intentions feel powerful until challenged. Only results survive pressure. This is why discipline matters more than motivation. Motivation speaks. Discipline produces. The disciplined individual is often misunderstood early, doubted often, and questioned frequently. But when results arrive, silence follows. Explanations also expose unfinished work. When something is real, it requires no justification. Fire does not explain its heat. Gravity does not argue its force. In the same way, true progress does not ask to be believed. It simply exists. Those who trust their process do not rush to explain it. Most people explain because they fear judgment. They try to control perception instead of building reality. This reverses the natural order. Reality shapes perception, not the other way around. The person who focuses on image loses substance. The person who focuses on substance gains respect without asking for it. Results eliminate debate. No one questions what is undeniable. No one argues with consistency. No one doubts repetition of success. This is why explanations fade when outcomes appear. Evidence replaces opinion. Performance replaces speculation. Explanations can also become traps. The more you explain, the more you commit to words instead of actions. You begin defending statements instead of improving performance. Over time, identity becomes attached to talking rather than doing. This weakens growth. Progress demands humility, and humility works quietly. Those who win understand timing. Early stages require privacy, not publicity. When effort is still forming, it must be protected. Explanations invite interference. Opinions slow momentum. Distraction weakens focus. The builder works quietly until structure is strong enough to stand alone. Results are honest. They cannot lie. They reflect habits, consistency, and discipline. Explanations, on the other hand, can hide weakness. They can soften failure. They can delay accountability. But reality always catches up. Outcomes expose truth whether one is ready or not. The strongest individuals develop a habit of letting actions speak first. They do not announce moves. They do not defend choices. They do not argue with critics. They build, refine, and repeat. Over time, patterns form. Patterns create credibility. Credibility silences doubt. Results also protect confidence. When you know you are producing, you feel no need to explain. Calm replaces anxiety. Certainty replaces defensiveness. The mind becomes stable because it is anchored in evidence, not opinion. Effort applied consistently creates a quiet confidence that cannot be shaken by noise. Those without results are easily provoked. Those with results remain calm. They do not fear questions because outcomes answer them already. Explanations seek approval. Results command respect. Approval is temporary and unreliable. Respect is durable and earned. The individual who chooses results over explanations chooses long-term strength over short-term comfort. Progress is built in repetition, not rhetoric. Every day of disciplined action adds weight to results. Every day spent explaining subtracts from momentum. Over time, the difference becomes visible. One path leads to authority, the other leads to endless justification. Results also simplify life. When outcomes improve, conversations change. Doubt disappears. Pressure reduces. Opportunities increase. Not because of charm or persuasion, but because evidence attracts trust. Let others talk. Let others explain. Let others defend their position. Stay focused on execution. Stay consistent in effort. Stay disciplined in habits. When results arrive, they will speak clearly, powerfully, and permanently, without noise, without defense, without a single word needing to be said. Inner discipline creates outer authority. No one commands respect without first commanding themselves. Authority is not given by titles, volume, or force. It is projected naturally by those who have mastered their impulses, habits, and reactions. The world responds to control, and control begins internally. When the mind is disciplined, behavior becomes consistent. When behavior is consistent, trust forms. Trust is the foundation of authority. Inner discipline is the ability to act correctly without supervision. It is the strength to do what must be done when no one is watching and no reward is guaranteed. Most people rely on motivation, which fades. Discipline remains. It creates structure where chaos would otherwise grow. It replaces emotion with intention. This is why disciplined individuals move calmly under pressure while others collapse. Outer authority is a reflection, not a performance. People sense self-control instinctively. They feel stability in those who are not reactive. A person who cannot control their emotions cannot lead others. A person who cannot control their time cannot direct outcomes. A person who cannot control their habits cannot sustain success. Authority follows those who demonstrate mastery over themselves. First, inner discipline shapes character. Character shapes behavior. Behavior shapes reputation. Reputation shapes influence. Influence becomes authority. This chain cannot be skipped. Those who try to appear powerful without discipline eventually reveal weakness. The mask falls under pressure. But those built from discipline stand firm regardless of circumstance. Discipline sharpens decision-making. When the mind is trained, choices are not driven by comfort or fear. They are driven by principle. This creates consistency. Consistency builds predictability. Predictability builds trust. Trust gives weight to words and meaning to presence. People listen not because they are forced, but because they recognize reliability. The disciplined mind is not distracted by every impulse. It does not chase pleasure at the expense of progress. It does not avoid discomfort when growth demands it. This restraint creates strength. Over time, restraint becomes confidence. Confidence becomes calm authority that does not need to be asserted. Outer authority is often misunderstood as dominance. True authority is influence without intimidation. It is leadership without noise. It is guidance without explanation. People follow disciplined individuals because they feel safe in their stability. Chaos does not surround them. Clarity does. Inner discipline also controls reactions. The person who reacts emotionally hands control to the situation. The person who responds deliberately keeps control. Control is the core of authority. When pressure rises, people look for someone who remains composed. Composure is discipline in action. Discipline also builds credibility. Words spoken by a disciplined person carry weight because they are backed by consistent behavior. Promises are kept. Standards are maintained. Effort is reliable. Over time, this reliability becomes reputation. Reputation becomes influence. Influence becomes authority that does not need to be announced. Those without discipline rely on force, explanation, or persuasion. Those with discipline rely on example. Example is the strongest form of leadership. It communicates without instruction. It teaches without speaking. It demands respect without requesting it. Inner discipline creates structure in life. Structure eliminates confusion. Confusion weakens decision-making. Clear strew. Sure supports strong action. Strong action produces results. Results reinforce authority. This cycle strengthens over time as discipline deepens. Authority also attracts responsibility. Responsibility requires consistency. Consistency requires discipline. Those who avoid discipline avoid responsibility. Those who embrace discipline grow into roles of influence naturally. Authority does not chase them. It finds them. The disciplined individual does not seek control over others. They seek control over themselves. Ironically, this self-control draws others toward them. People trust those who are predictable in principle, not mood-driven. Stability creates safety. Safety creates loyalty. Inner discipline also protects from ego. Ego seeks recognition. Discipline seeks progress. Ego demands attention. Discipline demands effort. Authority rooted in ego collapses when challenged. Authority rooted in discipline strengthens under pressure. Time reveals discipline. Short bursts of effort impress briefly. Long-term consistency commands respect. Discipline turns effort into habit and habit into identity. Identity shapes behavior even under stress. This is why disciplined individuals remain steady while others fluctuate. Inner discipline creates quiet confidence. Confidence reduces the need to prove. Reduced need to prove strengthens presence. Presence influences environments. People adjust behavior around disciplined individuals without being told. This is authority in its purest form. Control yourself long enough and the world responds differently. Opportunities increase. Resistance decreases. People listen without being asked. Direction becomes natural. This is not luck. It is the visible effect of internal order expressed externally through calm, consistency, and unwavering self-command. Silence sharpens vision. When noise disappears, clarity appears. Most people cannot see clearly because their minds are crowded with voices, opinions, distractions, and constant stimulation. Vision does not come from more information. It comes from less interference. Silence removes the unnecessary and allows the essential to stand out. A noisy mind reacts. A silent mind observes. Observation leads to understanding. Understanding leads to precision. Precision leads to effective action. This is the sequence that separates those who drift from those who move with purpose. Silence slows the mind just enough to notice patterns others overlook. Vision is not imagination. It is perception refined by focus. When everything competes for attention, nothing is understood deeply. Silence reduces competition. It narrows the field until only what matters remains. This is why the most decisive thinkers are often the quietest. They see before they speak. They understand before they act. Distraction weakens vision. Every unnecessary thought blurs direction. Every emotional reaction distorts perception. Silence stabilizes the internal environment. When the mind is calm, it stops projecting fear and starts interpreting reality accurately. Calm vision is accurate vision. Silence also protects intention. When plans are spoken too early, they become diluted by outside influence. Doubt enters, opinions multiply, direction shifts. Silence keeps vision pure. It allows ideas to mature without pressure. What grows in silence develops strength. The ability to remain silent under stimulation is a form of intelligence. It means you choose what enters your mind. You are not controlled by impulse. You are not pulled by urgency. This control sharpens awareness. Awareness reveals opportunity. Clarity does not arrive suddenly. It builds gradually as noise is removed. Silence creates space. Space allows thought to settle. When thought settles, insight emerges. This is how complex problems become simple. This is how direction becomes obvious. Most people confuse speed with clarity. They rush decisions to escape discomfort. Silence tolerates uncertainty long enough for truth to surface. Patience in silence prevents costly mistakes. Vision forms slowly last longer. Silence strengthens intuition. Intuition speaks softly. It is drowned out by noise. When external input decreases, internal guidance becomes audible. This guidance is not emotional, it is precise. It directs action without confusion. Vision also requires restraint. Not every thought deserves attention. Not every stimulus deserves response. Silence trains selective focus. Selective focus sharpens perception. The mind becomes like a lens, narrowing until the image becomes sharp. When silence becomes habitual, distractions lose power. The mind stops chasing novelty. It begins to seek depth. Depth reveals structure. Structure reveals strategy. Strategy replaces guesswork. Silence allows reflection. Reflection reveals cause and effect. Without reflection, mistakes repeat. With reflection, patterns are corrected. Vision improves with every cycle of observation and adjustment. Noise creates urgency. Urgency clouds judgment. Silence removes urgency. Without urgency, decisions align with long-term direction. This alignment produces stability. Stability strengthens vision further. The world pressures constant reaction. Messages demand replies. Opinions demand agreement. Silence resists this pressure. It creates autonomy. Autonomous minds see independently. Independent vision leads to original action. Silence also reduces emotional interference. Anger, fear, and excitement distort perception. Calm restores accuracy. Vision formed in calm is reliable under pressure. This is why silent individuals often remain steady when others panic. Vision without silence becomes fantasy. Silence grounds vision in reality. It filters imagination through observation. What remains is direction that can be executed. Those who practice silence begin to notice details others ignore. Timing improves. Decisions become cleaner. Effort becomes targeted. Energy is no longer wasted reacting to noise. Silence also teaches humility. It reminds the mind that not everything requires comment. This humility opens space for learning. Learning sharpens vision further. The more silence you cultivate, the more obvious your next step becomes. Confusion fades not because answers are forced, but because unnecessary questions disappear. Action becomes natural. Vision sharpened by silence does not hesitate. It moves calmly, decisively, and without regret. It does not rush. It does not stall. It acts when the moment is right. Stay silent long enough and the path reveals itself. Stay calm long enough and direction becomes clear. Stay disciplined long enough and vision turns into action that feels effortless, precise, and inevitable. Focus turns time into an ally. When attention is concentrated, time stops working against you and starts working for you. Most people feel chased by time because their energy is scattered. They jump between tasks, thoughts, and distractions, leaving nothing finished and everything delayed. Time punishes the unfocused, but it rewards those who commit their attention fully to one direction. Focus gives structure to time. Without structure, days dissolve into noise. Hours pass without progress. With focus, even small amounts of time produce measurable results. The difference is not the clock, it is the mind using it. A focused mind assigns purpose to every moment. Purpose transforms time from pressure into progress. Time compounds effort. Compounding only works when effort is consistent. Consistency requires focus. When attention drifts, compounding breaks. When attention holds, momentum builds. What feels slow at first accelerates. Those who stay focused long enough experience sudden progress that appears effortless from the outside. Unfocused people rush because they feel behind. Focused people move steadily because they trust accumulation. Trust in accumulation removes anxiety. Anxiety causes haste. Haste creates mistakes. Focus removes haste and replaces it with precision. Focus also reduces resistance. When the mind commits fully, it stops negotiating with itself. Decisions are made once and executed repeatedly. This saves mental energy. Saved energy increases endurance. Endurance allows long-term effort. Long-term effort allows time to work in your favor. Time tests everyone. It exposes inconsistency. It rewards persistence. Focused individuals pass this test because their attention does not wander when results are delayed. They understand that progress is invisible before it is obvious. They remain steady during the quiet phase when most people quit. The focus narrows the field of action. Instead of trying everything, you choose one path and stay on it. This allows skill to deepen. Depth produces efficiency. Efficiency multiplies output without increasing effort. Time becomes a partner, not an obstacle. Distraction turns time into an enemy. Each interruption resets momentum. Each shift in attention costs more time than it appears. The unfocused life feels busy but produces little. The focused life feels calm but produces much. Focus also strengthens patience. When attention is fixed, waiting does not feel like stagnation. It feels like preparation. The mind stays engaged even when results are delayed. This engagement keeps energy flowing forward instead of leaking into frustration. Time reveals the difference between intention and commitment. Intention fades when attention drifts. Commitment remains when focus is disciplined. Those who commit see time as a resource to invest, not a threat to escape. Focus eliminates regret. Regret comes from wasted time. Wasted time comes from divided attention. When attention is unified, time is used fully. Even failure becomes valuable because it informs the next move. Focused effort simplifies complexity. Tasks that feel overwhelming shrink when attention is directed fully. One step at a time becomes possible. Progress becomes manageable. Time stops feeling heavy. Focus also protects vision. Without focus, vision becomes diluted by new ideas and distractions. With focus, vision sharpens through repetition. Repetition builds mastery. Mastery shortens the distance between effort and outcome. Time rewards mastery generously. The focused individual respects time, not by rushing, but by using it deliberately. They start when others hesitate. They continue when others drift. They finish when others abandon. Completion creates leverage. Leverage accelerates progress. Time favors those who stay. Those who stay focused long enough outlast competition. Talent fades without focus. Motivation fades without focus. Discipline sustained by focus endures. Focus creates rhythm. Rhythm turns effort into habit. Habit turns action into identity. Identity guides behavior automatically. When behavior becomes automatic, time no longer drains willpower. Progress continues even on difficult days. Focus also builds confidence. Confidence reduces hesitation. Reduced hesitation saves time. Saved time compounds into opportunity. Opportunity appears to favor the focused because they are ready when it arrives. The more focused you become, the less you fear time. Deadlines lose power. Pressure decreases. You trust your process because you have seen it work repeatedly. Trust stabilizes effort. Time is neutral. It does not help or harm by itself. Focus decides its role. When attention is scattered, time exposes weakness. When attention is disciplined, time magnifies strength. Stay focused long enough and time begins to cooperate. Effort compounds, skills sharpen, momentum builds. What once felt distant moves closer without strain, not through force, but through sustained attention that turns every passing moment into an advantage. Strength is built in invisible moments. Not in applause, not in recognition, not in the moments that are seen and celebrated, but in the quiet hours when no one is watching and nothing seems to be happening. What the world notices is the result. What it never sees is the accumulation of effort that made the result unavoidable. Power is formed where attention is absent and commitment is tested. Invisible moments demand honesty. There is no audience to impress, no pressure to perform, no reward for pretending. Only discipline remains. This is where habits are either reinforced or broken. This is where excuses lose their hiding place. The individual who grows strong in invisibility becomes unshakable in public. Most people chase visible progress because it feels rewarding. They want immediate proof that their effort matters. But real growth does not announce itself early. It develops quietly, layer by layer, through repetition that feels boring and slow. Those who abandon the process during this phase never experience its payoff. Invisible effort compounds without interference. When no one is watching, there is no comparison, no validation, no distraction. Focus deepens. Standards rise. The work becomes cleaner. The mind becomes sharper. Over time, this unseen discipline creates an edge that cannot be copied. Strength is not created by intensity alone. It is created by consistency. Consistency requires privacy. Public effort often bends to expectation. Private effort answers only to principle. Principle-based work builds character. Character sustains strength under pressure. Invisible moments also train patience, waiting without feedback conditions, emotional control. It teaches the mind to operate without reassurance. This independence from external validation is power. Those who require praise weaken when it disappears. Those trained in silence remain steady regardless of response. Progress made in invisibility is durable. It is not inflated by ego or rushed by pressure. It matures at its own pace. When it finally appears, it appears solid, stable, and ready to carry weight. The invisible phase filters commitment. Many start when motivation is high. Few continue when motivation fades. Only those who continue without recognition develop real strength. This is why endurance separates the capable from the exceptional. Invisible work also sharpens self-trust. Each private victory reinforces belief. Belief does not come from words, it comes from evidence. Every time you show up when no one is watching, confidence grows quietly. Over time, doubt loses its grip. Strength built in public can crumble in private. Strength built in private stands firm in public. The difference is depth. Surface effort impresses briefly. Deep effort lasts. Invisible moments also refine skill. Without the pressure to perform, mistakes are allowed. Correction becomes natural. Improvement accelerates. Mastery develops where freedom exists. The world underestimates what it cannot see. This is an advantage. While others perform, the disciplined individual prepares. While others announce progress, the focused individual accumulates it. When results arrive, they appear sudden, but they are anything but. Invisible effort also strengthens resilience. When progress is slow and unrecognized, persistence becomes a choice, not a reaction. This choice builds mental toughness. Mental toughness becomes the foundation for all achievement. There is no shortcut around invisible work. Every attempt to bypass it leads to fragility. Fragile success collapses under pressure. Strong success holds. Invisible moments also teach humility. They remind the mind that growth is earned, not granted. This humility keeps effort honest. Honest effort produces real strength. Strength does not come from attention. It comes from repetition. Repetition requires patience. Patience is trained in invisibility. The invisible phase is where standards are set. What you tolerate when no one is watching becomes your baseline. High standards maintained in private create excellence in public. Those who embrace invisible work stop fearing slow progress. They understand that time is building something real. This understanding removes anxiety and replaces it with quiet confidence. Stay committed in invisible moments, and visible strength becomes inevitable. The world may not see the work, but it will feel the results. Strength built quietly speaks loudly when it finally appears, not through words, but through presence, performance, and unwavering stability that cannot be ignored. When the mind is calm, opportunity arrives naturally. A restless mind creates chaos, distraction, and missed signals. When thoughts race and emotions flare, decisions become reactive instead of intentional. Panic invites mistakes. Anxiety clouds judgment. Impatience forces action before the time is right. A calm mind, however, sees clearly. It notices patterns others overlook. It senses openings while the frantic are blind to possibility. Calm is the silent magnet that draws opportunity toward readiness. Opportunity does not favor desperation, it favors preparation and presence. The person who is calm under pressure can act decisively when the moment is right. The frantic act too soon, too late, or in the wrong direction. Timing is always critical, and a calm mind recognizes timing because it is not consumed by fear. Calmness allows observation, judgment, and precision to guide movement. It converts potential into tangible results effortlessly. A calm mind creates clarity. When thoughts are quiet, priorities reveal themselves. Distractions lose their power. Noise fades. Vision emerges naturally from silence. Those who remain composed notice solutions where others see problems. They see openings where others see obstacles. This clarity is why calm individuals often appear lucky to outsiders. The truth is that preparation, observation, and mental discipline are invisible to most. Opportunity also responds to presence. A mind that is agitated repels chance because it signals instability. People instinctively trust calmness. Composure inspires confidence. Calm individuals attract partnerships, alliances, and situations that demand responsibility. They are chosen not because they speak more, but because they are steady and dependable. Calm becomes credibility, and credibility becomes influence. Control over the mind precedes control over circumstances.